Welcome everyone to CRL2. This is week 7. We have 8 exciting matchups for you guys today. We just have this nice little straightaway ramp here. It's going to be pretty difficult. Some cars might stumble on these bumps here because it's a pretty steep incline here on these bumps. But our first matchup will be Ermine versus Grant. We have Ermine in lane 2 and Grant in lane 4. Looks like we have True Blue versus Blueprint coming up here first. We'll see what happens. And it looks like Grant stumbles a little bit too much there. Loses just enough speed for Ermine to take the first point there. There's True Blue in our winner's circle right there. Next up is Roadster versus Diddy Kong. And Diddy Kong does the same thing that Blueprint does. Looks like Roadster will score the point. Another one here. This could be the end here. Red Rover versus Ultima. And it looks like it is. Ermine will sweep Grant. Looks like Grant's cars just couldn't keep up the pace. They would stumble on those bumps, and that's just enough to get that edge over Grant. So Ermine will take the win there. Next up, we have Peyton versus Luke. We will have in lane 2 will be Luke, and lane 4 will be Peyton. Looks like we have Hammerhead versus Bottleneck for our first matchup there. Should be a pretty good matchup here. Down they go. And it looks like Luke will score the first point there. Hammerhead will get the point. There's Hammerhead in our winner's circle right there. Next up, we will have Formula versus Fossil. Well, Fossil almost had that there, but Formula will take the win there. Next up, we have Inferno versus Gulliver. Gulliver's been pretty promising. He's done a lot. Oh, and it looks like Gulliver will get the edge over Inferno, scoring the first point for Peyton. This could be the start of a comeback, but Peyton needs to win 2 more in a row. We have True Blue versus 909. Did I say True Blue? I meant to say Blue Bolt there. I'm sorry about that. But Blue Bolt will win there, getting his revenge on me for pronouncing his name wrong. Too many blues, but Luke will take the win. And our next matchup is Micah versus Colin, 2 teams that have struggled this season. We have Micah in lane 2 and Colin in lane 4. Both these teams have struggled to find their way in their divisions. They both sit at the very bottom. Let's see if anything will change today. We have Tesla versus Laser, and Laser will score the first point for Colin there. Next up, we have Iron versus Black Yoshi. And Black Yoshi just doesn't make the cut there. He also gets flung out the back there. Micah leaves no points unanswered. We have Glazer versus Ace. And Ace scores a point for Colin there. Colin is ready to take what is his. This could be the end here, but who knows. Next up, we have Freedom versus Xenon. And Boomer barely makes it in there. Match point right here. We have Boomer versus Draco. It looks like Boomer got it. Micah will take the win there. It's a much-needed win for Micah. He is at the bottom of a very competitive division. And next up, we will have... Looks like we have Drew versus Ben Cressman. Ben Cressman has made 2 additions to his team. We'll see if they get the play here. We have Shy Guy versus Porto. Drew's in lane 2, and Ben Cressman is in lane 4. Ben Cressman is hoping to stay in the playoffs here in contention, but Drew will score the first point. Not a good look so far. Next up, we will have Rex versus Transformer, which Rex has been a pretty good rookie for Drew, scoring that first point there. A pretty promising addition so far. Since week 4, he has been doing pretty good for Drew. We have the Nuke versus Electro. The Nuke has also been a very good addition, proving he just launches Electro out of there. Some would say he nuked him, but Drew will take the win there once again. He's good. And next up, we have Braden versus Landon. Braden has struggled a lot, but with this new addition, Blaze 2.0, he is hoping to make it out alive. Looks like we have Braden in lane 2 and Landon in lane 4. We have Blaze 2.0 versus Velvet. And this is huge. Can we get a replay on that? There was a spin in there. That is a huge win for Braden. Velvet has been almost unstoppable this season. And with that, Braden can hopefully keep this lead going with Scorpio versus Tokyo. and Landon does not leave that point unanswered. He will score right back up here, tying up the score. Next up, we have Manta versus Chrome. Manta has been pretty promising for Landon, and Chrome was pretty promising last season. He's been struggling a little bit this season, and it looks like he'll continue to struggle because Landon scores another point. It is now 2-1. Let's see if Braden can bring it back. There is Luigi versus Nickel. Nickel has been a promising car for Braden ever since he was drafted, and he proves it once again, launching Luigi out of there, but is tied. Match point. We will have Brian versus Senator. It is time for Brian to prove his worth to Braden's team. Replacing Pinstripe, this could be a make-or-break situation. This win is crucial. And Braden wins! That will be Braden's second win this season. That is shocking because Landon has been pretty unstoppable this season. But just like that, Braden is trying to make it to the playoffs. We'll look at his quest and we'll see how he can do. Next up, we have Lane versus Alex. See what he can do here. We have Bubble versus Red Rocket. We have Lane in lane 2 and Alex in lane 4. Shark has been struggling recently, or more so his team. He's been struggling with how he feels about the team because he seems to be the only one who can get a win on this team, he's been saying, which is probably frustrating from going from a team that made it to the finals to a team that can barely win a regular season game. We have Shark versus Pop. And Shark just easily gets that win, proving that he might be the only car that can get a win on this team here. Next up, we have, looks like we have Blanco versus Nitrogen. Blanco has been pretty unstoppable, and he spins into the third lane to get a point there. Looks like he spun on him and still had enough speed to just win that. That shows how crazy Blanco is. So we have Converse versus Sparky, and that is just annihilation from Lane. Alex has been destroyed once again. Lane's onslaught has been pretty decimating. He's only lost once. He has the same record as Drew, and they're both fighting for a spot as the number 1 seed. Next up, we have Benroth versus Keen. We have Benroth in lane 2 and Keen in lane 4. We have Midas versus Drift. Midas has been pretty promising for Benroth's team. He's in the finals. Benroth's team has been pretty tried and true. Proved themselves last season, obviously, on Caleb's team. But we'll see what they can do. Hopefully we'll see them in the playoffs. It could be a pretty exciting electric team here. We have Banana versus Oblivion. Banana scores a point. Looks like next up we will have... This could be a blowout here, by the way. Next up, we have Carvin versus Wildstyle. It looks like Carvin will barely get that there. Benroth will take the win there. Benroth is at the top of his division so far, and he's hoping to keep it that way for a good spot in the playoffs. In our last matchup of the day, we have Isaac versus Brendan. Two teams that are relatively towards the middle, except Brendan's at the top of his team, record-wise in the middle, but on his division he's on the top, so he has nothing to really worry about here. But he still needs a win here. We have Crimson versus Jaguar. Isaac gets it off with the first point. There's Crimson in the winner's circle. Isaac has not changed a single member of his team since last season, and he's hoping to create success. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it doesn't reach the same end that it reached last year with a devastating loss to Lane in the first round of the playoffs. But next up, we will have the brothers. We have Celestial versus Ethereal. And it looks like Celestial stumbled too much there, and Ethereal will score the point. That is all. Thank you so much for watching. We will now be going on to the power rankings. Thank you for watching, and have a great night.